Hello, welcome everyone. We're so excited to be here with you today. My name is Jaimianne, and I'm going to be interviewing Melanie Fields of the Married Beader in Front Royal, Virginia. So, Melanie, first let me say thank you for joining us today and being part of Amuse at Home.
Thank you.
So, we're going to ask a few questions and go through kind of your artwork, and you can tell us a little bit more about what people can expect to see from you at Amuse at Home. And our first question is, what is your medium of choice and why?
Beads. Because beads are like candy, and they come in every size and shape and color imaginable, and they're just wonderful.
Yeah, and how did you get to choose beads, or how did you first come across beading?
I took my daughter about 8 years ago to a craft store to buy materials so that she could make presents, and I stumbled upon a pattern book, and when I opened it, I knew that I had found heaven. Because when I looked at it, I went, oh, now there's something to do with these besides dropping them on a string. This is interesting, exciting, and fun, and it looks like the sky's the limit. So that was it.
That's exciting. And so what's your inspiration or motivation to continue making these really unique pieces, one of which you're wearing right now?
I just love it. It's satisfying. You can create anything that you can imagine. It's just any color, any shape, and if you've made it in black, you have to make it in red, blue, and pink too. It's like an insatiable appetite. That's a good way to describe it. It's an appetite that can't be satisfied.
Yeah, and I think people can see that in your work, because I know when I was visiting your Etsy page, you're very prolific. I mean, there's a lot. You're making a lot of work. That's really fantastic. So how does making wearables in particular influence your thought process as an artist?
It has to work. It has to be something that'll catch somebody's eye. So are you appealing to business women? Are you appealing to older women? Younger women tend to like different colors and designs. And then the other major influence is it's going to have to bend correctly. It has to lay right. If it's too stiff, it's not going to drape on your neck. So all of that influences what you do.
Yeah, it's a very intimate experience when someone's wearing your work as opposed to looking at it on a wall.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and it can't be something. It can't be something where right around here, it'll flip up like a bad collar. Mm-hmm. So it has to do what it's supposed to do, which is lay there and look nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, in a way, it's complimenting the viewer as opposed to, existing outside of other things or in a vacuum. So I think that's interesting. So we're going to share a little bit of your work now. And I think that you oftentimes use the peyote stitch, which is so interesting. It has this great history, being named after American Indian traditions, but dates back to ancient Egyptian times. I think they found it in some of the pharaohs' ancient sarcophaguses. So what about that stitch, the peyote stitch, and other stitches that you use that you can tell us about? And while you kind of talk about the different stitches, I'm going to go ahead and share some of the work that you do.
All right, well, I'll start with peyote. That one is really versatile. I mean, each one of them has limitations and possibilities. I tend to go with a flat geometric, and that's what you're looking at here. It's just a geometric zigzag. The ends have a little, it's like a little drop. They're about 3 millimeters. So you just pattern in the colors that please you for whatever geometric pattern that you've cooked up. You can vary it by using different size beads, as you can see there, with actually the same stitch, just incorporating the different sizes will give something a completely different look.
And then here you have a peyote in a completely different way.
Okay, that's a really fun variation. That is Cellini or Cellini, depending upon how you pronounce it. That is also a peyote, but it's done in a spiral, and you get that dimension by graduating the size of your beads from small to large, back to small to large, which forms the spiral shape. Those are a lot of fun to make.
Sure, and I see the difference of the size beads in the photo that you provided.
Yeah.
So then this is a peyote, but it's shaped.
Yeah, that's done. That's actually circular. There's a little bit of an optical illusion there because of the colors, but those are actually circles. And instead of doing it flat, you form a circle and then increase your ring as it gets larger. Otherwise, you'd end up with a tube.
And then you're just repeating those circles.
Yes. Yeah, you make the individual pieces and then sew them together.
Can you talk about this one a little?
Okay, this is a flat herringbone, and flat herringbone is, this one is really versatile. You can, sky's the limit with this one. You can do it tubular, you can do it flat, you can do these in squares, you can do them in circles. It depends on your increase and decrease. This is done with 2 sizes of beads, white and gold, which gives it a little bit of an illusion of a lame. And it's a great stitch.
What's a lame for those of us who do not know?
A lame is a metallic fabric that's usually glittery and shiny. You see it very often in evening wear. So this one just looked like lame to me.
And so I love that the herringbone stitch that you have here can also be more elaborate in a neck form.
Yes, you can dress this, you can really dress up this stitch as much as you want. Since it's a flat stitch, it's a little bit tricky to get it to curve. So you do that by inserting larger beads as you progress down the project in order to make it curve. Otherwise, if they were all the same size, you would just have a straight strip, and that wouldn't lay around the neck.
And then you have the right angle stitch.
Yeah, right angle weave is exactly what the title describes. When you do a right angle weave stitch, you only pass through beads on a right angle. You never go straight. So you either go left or right. This can be done flat. You can create a bottom layer and then decorate that bottom layer. It's called embellishment. This happens to be what's called cubic right angle weave, where you build a box and then you add another box on top of a box on top of a box until you formed whatever shape you want. This one is really, really versatile because it lends itself to making lots and lots of different shapes, and it's very easy to shape because it's very supple.
And so this is the same stitch in a completely different form.
The pendant portion where that little crystal thing in the middle is that's a cubic right angle weave. Up above those pearls on the side is a spiral. So you can take the same a piece that you want to make, and you can combine numerous different stitches together for interest or color or shape or dimension, whatever you want to do.
Usually when you're making work, are you combining stitches, or are you, or would you say a majority of your pieces are one stitch?
Probably the majority are combined. I do have a lot that are a single stitch, but the majority are combined. That's pretty common.
Yeah, that's awfully interesting. Okay, well, thank you so much for kind of sharing those images with us. And that brings us to our next question, which is, can you share a little bit of the process? So the necklace that you're wearing, what stitch is that one?
This is called a net. And if you think of what a fishnet looks like with diamonds like this, it's you put the beads exactly in a fishnet type pattern. And it's very, this stitch is very drapey. It lends itself to a really nice, elegant drape, whereas some of the other ones might be a little stiffer.
And you took a wonderful video that I'm going to share with folks of you working on the peyote stitch. There we go. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about exactly what you're doing here and your use of material and how that, it looks so simple when we're watching it, but it's so time consuming.
Well, these are Japanese seed beads. The company is called Amicucci. They make really, really good beads because they're very uniform in color and uniform in size. Size uniformity is critical. Otherwise, you'll get something that's kind of misshapen. This is a flat peyote. It's 4 colors. I picked sherbet pinks and peaches, and it's just a diagonal stripe. The size of those beads is about 2 millimeters each. It's not the smallest one. And it's just a matter of going back and forth and creating the stripes until you get the length that you need. This will be a flat piece. It'll end up being a bracelet when it's done.
And how long would a bracelet like this take you?
About 20 minutes an inch.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And what's the average? I don't know what the average length of a bracelet is.
7 to 8 inches.
Okay. Wow.
So average piece, an easy piece is 2 hours. Average piece is 4 hours. Necklaces are 6 to 8 hours.
Right. And now when you're doing these, are you doing these do you have a home studio and you're, maybe catching up on a movie, or where are you usually making these pieces?
At home, I have a bedroom that's devoted to nothing but this.
Oh, wow. You must have a wonderful bead collection.
I have a lot of beads. I have a lot of beads.
Yeah, well, that's great. And I think that's really interesting what you're saying about the difference of beads and where they come from. I know that DC is one of the only places that used to have a bead museum, and people don't realize how important it is to have specific types of beads.
Yeah, you want good quality. You want to spend the money if you're going to do this. You want to spend the money on good quality materials because you're investing a lot of time and effort in this, and it's not worth it to do it with junk.
Yeah.
I'm letting my snobbery is showing.
I think you can totally say that. So part of what you do is not only making objects for people to wear, but also creating tutorials. So we just got a little sneak peek of how you work kind of behind the scenes, but you're also creating tutorials that people can download on your Etsy site.
Mm-hmm.
So about that and what excites you about working in that way?
Oh, creating a tutorial? Oh, it's the fun of an idea popping into your head, and then you troubleshoot and you go through prototype after prototype and you put it together and rip it apart because it's not right. And sometimes you put it in the box with all the other projects that you've discarded for now. And sometimes you have happy accidents and it just comes together perfect. And then you go through the process of taking your photographs and writing your instructions and creating the digital download. But the icing on the cake is when people actually want to buy it. Because if they want to buy it, it means they've been inspired and they want to make it. So, and then they post pictures of what they made, and because your name is on it, somebody else comes and buys it, and it's just really satisfying.
Yeah, and you were telling me earlier, so if you were to buy a pattern or a tutorial from someone, then you list them as the designer.
Yes, if I put it online, if I have a photograph online, either on Pinterest or in my shop, I credit the designer. It's
Mhm.
just etiquette, it's just bead world etiquette to do that.
Yeah. And so, what's an example when you say that you're making these tutorials? I know this is probably difficult to explain, but what's an example of what a tutorial would be like or look like? Is it one type of stitch and you're showing a different way to use that stitch, or is it chaining together different stitches into a larger pattern?
It's how to make this specific one.
I see.
How
Mhm.
to is like this is I plan on doing a tutorial for this one. So when I do this, it'll be photographs of beginning and a photograph of each step along the way so that they can assemble it themselves.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So I think people are going to be kind of wondering what are they going to see from you at Amuse at home.
I've been putting in a lot of metallics. I've been playing with a lot of gold and silver. And of course, I've got the fall, your harvest colors going in right now. It tends to be what people are interested in this time of year. There's a lot of red, got a little smattering of pastels, but mainly I've been playing with the gold and silver a lot.
Great. And I actually can do, I didn't think of this, but I can do a screen share of your Etsy page here.
Oh,
People can visit you at Amuse at Home, which is pretty exciting, or you can check out the Mary Beader on Etsy. So all of these fabulous works, I'm particularly drawn to those earrings, but over 4 pages of work. That's just unbelievable. Not only is it the making of the work, but it's also the uploading of the work and just hours spent kind of doing what you love. I think you're lucky in that way, and we all are, right?
yeah, yeah, I'm lucky.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining us. I hope everybody really checks out Amuse at Home, gets to learn a little bit more, and explores all of the artists that we have as part of this amazing virtual event. We're so sorry to miss everyone in person, of course, but I think this should be a pretty exciting opportunity to support the arts.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for spending time with us this afternoon.
Thank you.